Welcome, my friends, to Inside the Minds of Authors. I'm DC Gomez, and I'm thrilled you're joining me today for a fun conversation with a passionate author. We're kicking off the program, like it's our tradition, with a short reading from the feature book. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get started.
This is C.D. Gorri. I'm going to read an excerpt from my new contemporary romance short. It's called His Carrot, Her Muffin, and it's book 2 in the Cherry on Top Tales. So this is the prologue from my character, Morena. Well, here you are, Morena, Mr. O'Malley said, handing me the keys to my grandfather's old farmhouse. You've inherited Grimaldi's farm. That means the actual fields, greenhouses, and machinery, along with the house and the old pickup truck. It seemed unreal. Gramps had passed almost 2 months ago now, and it had taken that long for his will to go through probate, whatever the hell that meant. I knew he was happier now, at peace with my grandmother, but I really missed them both, especially with the holidays just around the corner. Thanks, Mr. O'Malley. And the remaining hospital bills, when can I see them? I asked, anticipating what was sure to be a tidy sum. Despite having health insurance, a damn good policy too, when my grandmother started declining from her chronic kidney disease, the hospital bills were astronomical. It was probably why Gramps waited so long to seek medical attention for his own pain, and by the time he had, it was too late. The cancer was too advanced, and it was everywhere. There's nothing to see, Mr. O'Malley interrupted my morbid thoughts, and I was grateful. Excuse me? I asked, uncertain I had heard him correctly. They've all been taken care of by an anonymous donor, the lawyer replied. Really? Who? I murmured, wondering who would do such a generous thing. I'm not at liberty to say. Okay, well, thank you again. I was a little overwhelmed with all the paperwork as I stood up, and more than a little curious about the generous donor who'd paid Gramps' bills. Maybe it wasn't all that surprising, not really. He was the best, a beloved figure in town, known for his kindness and willingness to always lend a hand. You know, Miss Grimaldi, your grandparents were longtime clients, friends, really, and I know it would mean the world to them to have you back home for the holidays one last time, he said with an understanding smile on his kindly face. I appreciate that. Thanks again. I shook hands with the kindly old man, accepting the gentle pat he gave me before leaving his office. I'd put this off long enough. It was time to close the house where I grew up and to say goodbye to that chapter of my life. But that was easier said than done.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Inside the Minds of Authors. I'm so glad you guys are joining us for a new season. We have amazing authors. Like usual, you're going to have a blast this year. If you're new to the podcast, go ahead and subscribe. You don't want to miss a single episode. We're here Monday nights with new authors and new books. So check us out. And if you're interested in leaving us a review, sharing it with your friends, please do. We're always better when we're growing together. And because you guys are here to listen to our new speaker, I'm going to jump in because I hope you enjoy that reading as much as I did because it's my dear friend CD. Hello, dear. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing a happy dance every time we get to chat. It's amazing. So I'm like, yes. And I'm having a moment of processing because we're doing contemporary. And this is
We're
not what I'm used to.
Yes, no, this is brand new for me and for my readers, and hopefully for the new readers who will come join me, come over to the dark side and get to know my writing.
This is very much like, ooh, but it still has your flair. It still has that very touch of like, a little bit of sass, a lot of stuff going on. Let's jump into the book. What is this book about?
Okay, so this book, it was my first contemporary romance short story. It released over the holidays as part of a anthology, but it's now available as a single. It's actually book 2 in the series. The new series is called Cherry on Top Tales, and these are short, steamy contemporary romances. So far, they've revolved around holidays. I've got like 2 Christmas and 1 Valentine's. This book is called His Carrot, Her Muffin. So there's humor, obviously. There's humor off the bat. They're very spicy, very short, so it does happen fairly quickly. In this particular story, you have two characters who were high school sweethearts. And from the excerpt I read, you can tell that her grandparents who raised her passed away, and she's going to return home now to close up the house. What she's not expecting is to run into her ex, who was also her neighbor growing up. So some shenanigans are going to happen, and we'll see if they can rekindle their love affair and if old hurts get put behind them.
I love this because I think every person has found themselves in that situation. I'm going to go home and you run into this person. And those feelings tend to arise and make you question things. I'm like, did I do the right thing? Really?
Well, yeah,
Mm.
I think there's something to be said for the boy next door trope. The unique situation our heroine Morena finds herself in is, she's a little sad, right? So she's packing up her grandpa's house, and she was at an office party and her friend bought her a ridiculous piece of lingerie, which being a curvy girl, she would normally never wear. But as she's packing and as she's looking and as she's remembering things, she tries on this thing, this teddy. It's a teddy. And she might have been, having some wine while she was doing this. And for some reason or other, she winds up going outside in her robe to look at this property and the property bordering hers. And of course, she's kind of stuck in her memories. And she goes into this greenhouse where she gets caught. So it becomes a case of, is our hero going to call the cops, or is he going to deal with it himself? So it's an interesting situation. It's a little funny, a little embarrassing, but I think it's things that people can relate to. I mean, nobody wants to get caught breaking into their neighbor's greenhouse in their underwear, unless, of course, it's your ex boyfriend who's still as hot as he was back then.
There's all these question marks. You're going, what just happened? Girl, what were
Yeah.
you doing? Because this is the things like,
Well, it
what were
was
you
supposed to
thinking?
be fun, right? It's holiday fun. I believe in having a good time. I want to have a good time. I want my readers to have a good time. Yeah, that's what this series is pretty much about. There's shenanigans, there's fun, there's a lot of steam, a lot of spice, and always there's love. Even if it's instant, whether you believe in it or not. I'm a firm believer that love at first sight is a thing. And in this case, it's not really first sight, it's at first sight for the second time. So,
A very long time. You normally write paranormal and you
yes.
have a huge universe already built. What made you decide, I'm going to go take this leap and go into contemporary?
So I'm not stopping my paranormal. I'm actually just writing double, if that
Doing
makes
both.
sense.
Yeah.
So I have new releases coming out for my paranormal world too. And I wanted to branch out into contemporary because I've run into readers at signings and at events who will often stop and chat with me. And, they like my book covers and they like the premise. They just don't read paranormal. So I started to question myself after 10 years of writing, going, well, there's a lot of people who don't read paranormal. So how do I get them to? Because I think, if they like my style of writing and storytelling, that they might enjoy these books, but I have to get them here. So in order to do that, I'm going to write in a genre that they read, which is contemporary. A lot of it's the same because it's all the same premise. Love is the same thing, right? Regardless of what setting you put it in. There's love,
But
there's romance.
that was going to be my next question. Is there a
Mm.
huge difference between a paranormal universe and a contemporary when it comes to your writing style? What was the hardest thing to transition?
So the hardest thing for me to transition to is actually I changed the point of view. I'm used to writing in a third person point of view because that's always been my preference for reading, but most contemporary romance novels are in first person. So I thought I would give it a try. And I tried it and I liked it. So I'm kind of sticking with it. I have 3 stories now. Cherry on Top Tales are very short, so they're very easy reads just to kind of get my feet wet in this genre, but I do have a darker contemporary romance coming out in March, which is a longer story that's like 265 pages or something, called His Wild Obsession, and it's a billionaire romance, which is popular genre. I enjoy reading it, so I thought, "Hey, maybe I'll give it a shot." I'm hoping people will like it as much as I liked writing it.
I so enjoy the fact that you
Mm.
literally read and write the same. You enjoy these genres and you enjoy immersing yourself, and then you write about them so well. Did
Thank
you
you.
realize you were going to enjoy writing about them as much as you enjoy reading them?
Well, no, because I've resisted it for so long. I just felt like there are so many, and I just thought, well, I didn't want to get lost in the crowd, and paranormal has always been my thing. And then I'm like, well, I can have multiple things. So that's what I'm trying to do. 2024, I think, will be really about exploring this new genre, seeing where it takes me. I've got 3 series, contemporary series coming out by June, and I'm excited about them. I really am. I also have what was interesting with my paranormal worlds is I finished 3 series. I've completed 3 series in the month of January. Like the last book for 3 series came out this month in my paranormal worlds. So that was like a big deal for me. So it was like I could exhale and say, oh, okay, good. Those are done because it's always in the back of my mind. I don't know if all writers feel this, but when I have an unfinished series, I'm just like, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. It's a hard thing, you know.
It is. Trust me. We all think about
We're
it.
juggling a lot. We're juggling a lot when it's demand from readers, but then other readers who come in, they're like, wait, this is book 5. Like, well, does that mean I have to go back or what can I do? And so I want to give them something new also to start with so they can feel like they're starting with me and growing with me as I move on with new series.
When you're finishing your series, do you have a sense of like, oh, I'm going to miss this people? Or you're like, oh, thank God, let's move on to something else. What is that feeling for you?
It's not so much, thank God, but it's like a feeling of satisfaction, of contentment, knowing I started this and I finished it, and it's kind of pride. There's an inner sense of pride. I cook. My family, we had delis and bakeries and stuff growing up. So we're Italian. So we cook and we eat, and all of our celebrations revolve around food, having these big dinners. And it's like cooking. It's like if you only cook like on a holiday, like on Thanksgiving, you start out kind of frantic and frazzled and you don't know what's going to happen. But when you pull that turkey out of the oven and it's done and it's golden and it's beautiful, and you're just like, oh, thank God. But at the same time, you're like, yes, I did it. Like you want to celebrate. So I think it's the same way.
That is officially the best analogy I had at this show. And I'm like a fanatic. I was like, oh my God, that is the best. It totally makes sense. I'm like, yes,
Yeah,
I
because
love
you
it.
worry. And then if you host every year, you gotta, step it up every year. And how about many ways can you make a damn turkey? So y- it's not always about the spices. Sometimes it's about just the method and how you cook it and how often you baste it and just about the bird itself. So that becomes the whole thing. Now we're going to like a farm and picking out a bird, which is quite gory, not to, but oh, look at that cute little fluffy feathered animal. Kill it. I want to eat it. I mean, it's strange, but this is all the crazy things we do because we want to improve and get better. And that's how I feel about my writing. I want to always improve and get better. And I may be starting with the same core, but what I put into it is different each time. So,
I so love it. To our listeners, you see, it's been doing this for now, literally turning into a decade. But that's a huge
yes,
accomplishment, especially
2024, 10th year.
this is it. This is the kind of stuff you're going, really? It is huge. And we mentioned earlier while we were chit chatting before we got on the air, how many contemporary people that we had in our circles are no longer writing. It has been a huge
Mm.
trend. One of the things we talked a lot about is kind of burnout, or they're officially just done with this publishing. What has made you continue to be this staple to get you here and maintain here? Like, what do you do to stay and sustain?
Oh, I'm just really stubborn. I'm like a wart on the publishing industry. I'm not going anywhere. This is what I do. I think you need to manage your expectations when you start something new. And I'm not saying don't reach for the moon. I'm still reaching for the moon. My arms are kind of tired. I'm still reaching for the moon, but I manage my expectations. I don't expect, to be Nora Roberts, but I am not invisible either because this is my job and this is my calling and this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm a storyteller. So I just don't quit. And hey, I get it. It's not right for everybody. Things pop up, life happens. I think that I compartmentalize this part of my life. So I don't allow it to eke into my personal life. And that's why Everything is very separate for me. My social media, when it's about business, it's about business. It's not about, my toothache. It's not about anything personal. Like I'm talking about writing. This is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about my books because this is my business. And I think that's something people have a real hard time managing,
You're
especially with
very
social media. It's a strange thing.
you're very consistent when everything comes across, and the brand is very consistent, and people can truly figure it out. Okay, this is where the world is coming to. And I think sometimes we get lost in the shuffle and they tend to forget that.
Yeah, look at how many of our heroes and our icons that are no longer there because now we just know so much about them. It's completely off-putting. I mean, I don't wanna know everything about everyone. I really don't. If I like your books, like, I really just wanna know about your books. Like, I don't wanna know because it's
All
not
the
relevant. It's not relevant to what I like about your work. There's been a trend, right? This whole cancel culture. We're going back in time and picking apart people's quotes from you know, 100
30
years
years ago.
ago, and we're canceling them. I don't even understand. Like, how do you can't like what? You just didn't exist? I don't know. I'm old. I don't understand. But my kids tell me I should try to, and I'm like, I'm trying. I really am. But I think a lot of stuff gets taken out of context. So my idea about my writing is to not even talk about that because it's not in context with my work. I mean, I'm not writing to change the world. I write romance books because they're an escape, because it's something that I think all people want. Same way if you listen to true crime podcasts or binge watch Netflix. I mean, some people are readers and they just want to read to escape whatever it is they're scared, just to relax at the end of the day. And I mean, that's what I deliver you. I deliver you a story that's going to be complete from start to finish. You're going to get an ending, you're going to get some kind of action. I don't mean get your mind out of the gutter. I didn't just mean spice, but there may be spice too, because I do have clean books, not very many, but I do. But, you're
There.
gonna get a story and you're gonna get that opportunity to just do what you like, read, zone out, have a good time because that's what I want. That's what I wanna do, so I'm trying to give you what I wanna do, which I guess is weird.
Well, it's such an amazing way of putting it because sometimes I think we get lost in making these books so much pressure on us and trying to make and deliver something that we forget, why did we start writing? What do we enjoy about books? What is it that it's going to make you smile? So I'm very much into the whole escapism. Every
Yeah,
single one of us has a purpose. I want you to have a blast with my books. This
exactly. See, I like that. I mean, some people prefer thrillers or, incredible dramas that are gonna make them cry, and I don't wanna cry. I don't wanna cry, so you're probably I mean, I've been told I moved people to tears, but I think it was through laughter, so I'm okay with that, but I really don't want anybody to cry, but if pee your pants a little laughing, I'm fine with that. That's great. Like,
has to be
"Yay, I did
balanced.
it." Because I like humor, I like to laugh. Life is very short, so why not? So when
I love
people
it.
say, "Well, that's not believable that they fell in love immediately," and I'm like, "Why? Why is that not believable for you?" It'd
Only because
be
they have never done it.
yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
gotta be open. You gotta be open. And hey,
Yes.
it's fiction, guys. I always love that though for my paranormal books. I love when a reviewer or a reader tells me that it was unbelievable that they fell in love. But the guy turning into the 2,000-pound dragon, totally buy it. That's totally yes, that happens. Like, okay. Because I think readers are great. Like, wow, I guess we all have our things. But
I love it. I think my hubby said the same thing. He's like,
yeah,
"That's the piece you're concerned about? What
yeah,
about all of that?" I was like, "Oh, I can handle that part. This
yeah, no,
piece right here? I don't know." He's like, "Oh my god." And I
yeah.
think he gave me that look like, "Girl, please." I was like, "Whatever. Go away."
Like my
We
urban fantasy, young adult clean books. My very first book, Wolf Moon, introduces a teenage girl who is going to learn her fate is to be a werewolf and not just a werewolf. She's the chosen one. She's going to end a curse. People did not have a problem with her being a werewolf. They had a problem that she was Catholic. That was the
what?
problem. Yes, that, oh, good luck getting Catholic to be a werewolf because I had a secret sect of wolves called the Hounds of God, which is actually a thing in history if you look this up. Like people reference this. Yeah, so they said that that wouldn't happen. Like the Catholic Church wouldn't employ werewolves to fight demons. And I'm like, all right. What would they employ? And it's fiction. I was just blown away that that was the issue, that she was Catholic, not that she was a werewolf. That made the story unbelievable. And I was just like,
You know,
okay.
you have me speechless because I'll be like, "What? Wait, what?"
Yeah. Yeah, this is because at the time, first book, I made so many mistakes. One of the mistakes was joining a group of writers that I found on Goodreads who were doing like a critique group, which I thought was something I needed to have. If you are starting out in this business, just say no. No critique group. I don't know, absolutely not. Writers, I have found are probably the most judgy. So I'm not going there. I mean, get yourself an ARC team, find some readers because I think it's hard to stay in your lane when you're a writer to be a reader too. And critique groups, they actually like stifled me for like that first year. I only had one book because I was just so by what everybody was telling me.
A
And then,
lot of information.
yeah, I learned to ignore that, which was good for me. It was good for me.
I was going to ask you what advice you would give an up and coming author, but that's a perfect one right there.
Yeah, I would be wary. Be wary of everything. Be wary of people selling you things, especially writers. I think, because my own opinion, it's been bad. It's been bad experiences. I've bought workshops, I've tried to take classes, and it's from people who told me they could help me increase my business, and it's never worked. And then eventually, because I guess I'm slow, but eventually I figured out if this person was doing that well with their writing, maybe they wouldn't need to sell a class. And then I decided to put on my Sherlock Holmes cap and Googled them, and I looked at their books and I looked at their rankings and I looked at their reviews and I said, well, shit, why am I taking advice from you? You know, it's silly. Think it was just silly of me. I don't know. I guess I'm gullible still. I'm a little naive and gullible. And I never think, why is someone trying to lie to me? Like why? What makes me so important that you want to lie to me?
I think as an author in the rise fantasy, we have to be a little naive or gullible, or our stories will not be convincing. Like it has to come from
Maybe.
that place. That's
That's
what I tell
genius.
myself. This is what I
That's
tell
genius
myself.
right there. Because really, if you're going to start a conversation with me, I'm just like, oh, okay. Like, I would never assume you're lying to me. Like, what?
Why would you go out of your way to tell me this whole entire
I've been
story?
married for 20, I don't God, I don't even know, 22 years. I've been married for 22 years with the same man for 25 years. And he can still get me. Like, he can still trick me because I'm the most gullible idiot. And I just completely believe him. And my son does it too now. And they both just laugh their butts off because, wow, mommy's really, really naive. So I'm like, it just never occurs to me you would lie to me. I mean, why would you lie to me?
I'm always the one looking for like the best part of people.
Yeah.
Hubby's not that person. So we kind of giggle because he's like, he has this conversation like, you're very naive and gullible. It's like, this is why I write really good stories because if not, they'll be a little jaded and angry. He goes, is that
Well,
your theory?
even if I am a little jaded about some things, I never think it would be personal. Like I can look at a story like okay, like watching movies. You're a writer, so you know. Do you watch movies or shows and you know who did it? You
All the
know,
time.
stupid twist is coming up, and
Yeah.
he's like, "I can't believe you knew that." And I'm like, "Why couldn't you believe it? Really? Because if I wrote it, that's right." And that's always it's like I'm a movie ruiner. I'm a show ruiner.
Me too. I get the looks. I'm like, really? Did you? I was like, you didn't see that coming. Okay, never mind.
Mm.
But I still can enjoy them. I still can be like,
Me
that's a
too. I'm like,
really,
"Ooh," because the
you did
execution
great.
is different. I just knew what was going to happen.
Thank you. I am okay with that part. I was like, that was really good. I like that twist. I saw it, but it was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, clever, clever. I'm into that.
You get points for
Which
that.
is cool. I mean, I think what helps us too, like if you're writing and you want to be a writer, I think it helps to be entertained by things around you and amused. Like I'm amused by everything. Even bad behavior amuses me. I'm entertained by this. And I want to entertain people. And I think that's the difference too. I think if you write, you need to have a goal in mind. What is it you want to do? What are you trying to accomplish with your story? And I don't mean any of the plot. Like, I'm not talking about the story. I'm talking about you as the writer. What do you want to do? Do you want to write this story for yourself? Because that's fine. People do that. People write for themselves. Do you want to write the story to be famous? Do you want to write this story just, to see how it does? There's all different motivations for writing. For me, it's always been about, yeah, I want to entertain people. I want to tell you a story. I want to see if you like it. I'm curious. I want to know what's resonating with you with this love story. And being a romance author, I think we get a really bad rap. I think a lot of people just expect, smut and spice. I'm not saying that's not there and that it's not valid. I'm saying that's not all there is. What if I like to read sexy scenes? So what if I like to write them? So what? I don't understand. Is it different than the person who reads the thriller, about people getting serial killed?
Decapitated.
Yeah. So
I don't know what happened and when our culture decided to become this critical about what people are reading and this judgmental. I
Mm.
think the whole purpose of books is like colors. There's one for everyone. I should not have to defend my decisions in the books that I read, nor should anybody else. Just
No. And
that's why we
just,
write.
the attitude in the author world of to look down your nose at romance writers. I don't get it. It's a billion-dollar industry, so I don't know who's looking down their nose. And people get very worked up and upset over this, and I don't get upset because I don't care.
You guys are
Like
also
what?
you're making the most money and making the
I
biggest industry. Why is anybody complaining?
Well, and then of course, there's been all this chatter about AI and people using AI, and I'm not a fan. It's not something I've used. It's not something I intend to ever use to write because, then it just wouldn't be me, would it? And I wouldn't be able to put my name on a book if I didn't write it. So I don't know. That's my own ethical quandary. I guess people have their own views, and that's fine. I mean, you can do whatever you want, and nobody should care what I say, what you do. And I don't know why anybody cares about what anybody else says. Just do what you want. I mean, but
I enjoyed writing. So
yeah, like I feel like I
you
wouldn't be
write.
a writer if I wasn't writing. So I don't understand. I don't get it. And I mean, I'm a fan of technology. I like tools. I think that it's interesting. I think the world we live in is amazing. I think the things people create are wondrous. It's like Willy Wonka. But so it's cool. I mean, stuff is cool and we have to learn how to live with it and we have to figure out ways to make it our own. The industry is being flooded with these books that were created with like chat GPT or whatever. I don't even know what that is. Apparently it's a
But
thing.
the fun thing is, I think everything goes in seasons, and a season will go and a season will pass, and people will still read, which is the part that makes me feel much more
Well,
content. I'm like, it'll be
that's
okay.
so yeah, like that's where I was going to is I think that readers, like people who really read, can tell the difference. So I
Yeah,
don't think it's taking anything away from authors who are in this for the long haul because we deliver what we deliver. We deliver our own stories with our own writing. And I think you can tell. I think, like people are very concerned that these AI bots are scanning their books and using their words. And I'm like, okay, there's only a certain amount of words out there. We've all used each other's words, but I get it. Like, we don't want whole passages being taken, but I'm not sure if that's how the AI works. But no, it doesn't read well. I mean, I don't think it reads well. I think you can tell. And I think readers are smarter than people are giving them credit for. I think people who read know that, yeah, I don't like this. They're going to skip that book and move on to the next. As a new writer, I would be wary of any of these new tools. The stuff is too new for you to use right now. It reads terribly. It's like trying to translate a book with just like Google Translate into another language. And I'm sure it reads horribly. Like, don't do that.
and
It's
hoping
sad.
nobody notices. They
Mm.
think you did it. Yeah. Okay, here.
People notice if you speak the language, people notice.
Oh, yeah. We're going to figure it out. We can
Absolutely.
chat forever. And you're one of
Oh
my
my
dear
god, we
friends.
can.
But we're going to come to a close before people's like, what are they talking about? We,
Sorry.
we need to know, where can our listeners find you when they can learn more about your books? Where are you located? Tell us.
So the best thing to do would be to go to my website. It's just my name, cdgorri.com, CDGORRI. All of my books are wide except for my brand new contemporary books, which are starting out in KU, and they will be wide after the initial 90-day term. So if you have KU and you want to try them out, do it now because they are leaving soon. But yeah, I'm everywhere: Apple, Google Play, Barnes and Noble, Amazon. But go to my website first, cdgorri.com, and that's where you can find me, and all my social media links also.
Woohoo! Guys,
Thank
sign up
you.
for the newsletter, by the way, because you're going to love it. She sends us
Okay.
out all the time. They're super fun and it comes with all her sass and quirkiness. So make sure you get it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
dear. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Oh God, no. All right. I need more coffee. Wait, wait, wait.
Come on.
Okay, I'm
Here we
ready. I'm
go.
ready.
All right. Virgin drinks or spiked ones?
Spiked.
My kind of girl. Breakfast or dinner?
Depends what time it is.
I'm going to give you both. Check, check.
All right.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Sweet. Planes or boats?
Oh God, can't we just drive? Boats. Let's go with boats.
Okay. Here's a little different. If your main character, the one in the book you just read us, had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh gosh, that's hard. My mind is blank. I can't think of a theme song for her. It's a Christmassy kind of book. So let's go with Rocking Around the Christmas Tree because why
I
not?
like that works. Perfect.
Even though
Dear.
I think she'd rather be rocking under the Christmas tree.
She can have her own remix version.
There you go.
My dear, do you have any closing remarks for us?
Well, I would like to thank you for having me. I love to be on this show with you. I think that you're awesome. And I would like to thank all of our listeners because you guys rock. And if you have any questions, message me. I try to answer as many as I can. And if you're a writer and you're just starting, or even if you've been around a while, just keep doing you. You got this.
I love it. My dear friends, thank you so much for joining us. CD, sweetie, a pleasure like usual. Had a blast. Make sure
Thank
to go
you.
ahead, check out the website, check out these books. You can go anywhere from paranormal to contemporary. You are going to have a blast. If you're new, remember, subscribe to the podcast. You don't want to miss a single episode. Give us a review. I forgot that you could do that. Share with a friend. We're always growing together. Make sure to share it. And I will be back next week with another fabulous author. Bye, guys.